Hey, everybody, and welcome to the third episode of Die Hard Dialogue. I am Gary Vaynerchuk, and I am incredibly honored to be on the show here with my partner in crime. Jessie, how are you?
I'm good, Gary. I'm really good.
We have a wonderful Broncos fan that I'm going to dialogue with because it is Jets at Broncos, an afternoon game. But before we get into that, I just want to mention that I am salty, I am upset, I am angry, and it has nothing to do with the fact that everybody who listened last week, if you followed along with what I wanted you to do or believed would happen, which is Mac being over 240 something yards, which he was not able to do. The Jets were unable to cover the spread. It has nothing to do with the context of this show, Jess. It has to do with the fact that I'm actually a diehard. And when you're a diehard, I think every diehard that's listening that isn't a fan of a remarkably great franchise knows what I'm about to say, which is us regular team fans that don't make the playoffs, 8 out of every 10 years. We have this thing where we just love our team so much. We just want the games to count, to matter. And there's always this one moment when the season's fundamentally over. And from 1997, when Bill Parcells came to New York, all the way to 2011, which was an incredibly interesting 14-year run in Jets history, outside of when our quarterbacks were hurt for the season, the Jets would get me to late December. They didn't make the playoffs all those years, but they made it about 6 or 7 times. And they got deep. They were 8-8 and 9-7. And it was a golden era. This is how sad it is to be a Jets fan. This golden era, 14 years, which, had 3 AFC championship games, no Super Bowl appearances, no Super Bowl, but playoffs and like seasons. The last decade, outside of 2015, the season has ended early. And the big joke me and my friends used to have was get me to Christmas. Then it would be just get me to Thanksgiving. Then in the last decade, it's just get me to Halloween. This Sunday was just so heartbreaking because this season's really about our quarterback. I'm really excited about him. And he obviously did not play well.
Which interception was it? Which number made you feel like?
The third one.
Yeah.
The first one was, you kind of like almost weirdly like the aggressiveness. The second one was 100% not his fault, went through Corey Davis's hands. The third one was like backyard 4th grade football, just throw it in the air. There's 4 defenders there and one of your guys. That one really got it going because I also knew that it was early in the game and he had 3 already. And I was already thinking about, a 5. The references to Mark Sanchez's 5 interception game against the Bills as a rookie popped into my head. I was on tilt. I'm incredibly upset. What really sucked was the Jets actually were winning the trenches. And, if you really look at that game, it's just really disappointing. I'm very upset. You must have been very happy, Jess.
I'm really sorry, but Zach Wilson became the 3rd rookie in the last 40 years.
No, not true. 4th.
To have 4 interceptions in his first 10 attempts.
Oh, I see. That is a true fact. Yeah. I thought you were going with there's been 4 rookies in the last 20 years who've thrown 4 interceptions, no touchdowns. This is fun now. Brandon, you'll like this one. There have been 4 rookies in the last 20 years that have thrown 4 picks, no touchdowns.
Both
here are the 4 of them. Alex Smith, Mark Sanchez, Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson.
Wow.
And the last 2 quarterbacks to do it were obviously both Jets. So now we've just got a Jets quarterback situation.
By the way, those are our good rookie quarterback draft picks. We didn't mention Kellen Clemens, Browning Nagel, Geno Smith. I mean, those are our good Bryce Petty. Those are like Christian Hackenberg. That's a great all-time 2nd round pick. I mean, those are our good players. So I'm incredibly depressed. The energy will be down this week. I don't think I have that much for Brandon. I'm hoping he shares some light of some vulnerabilities. I'm aware that
Sure.
Chubb is hurt, which is unfortunate. I don't really root for victories. I don't see how the Jets go to Denver and do much of anything. But before we get into that, why don't you introduce our guest, Jess, or allow him to?
Yeah, and really quick, couple housekeeping things.
Yes.
Keep an eye out on the Gary and DK social media for the link for this week's Listener League. We're going to give away a Broncos quarterback card, not Bridgewater, but a Peyton Manning autograph card.
Ooh.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yep, from my personal collection.
From your personal collection. Last week, the Listener League winner was Zetterberg. He took home a Randy Moss card. So that was pretty cool.
Nice job, Zeta.
So now brings us to this week, right?
Yep.
New York Jets at Denver Broncos, and we have Brandon Perna here. Brandon, why don't you give us, you're a real sports news, fake sports anchor guy, right? So I want to give you the opportunity to give your own pitch.
For what
Who
I do.
you are.
You can introduce yourself.
Listen,
Yeah.
Here's how Brandon got here. I tweeted out, every week I want to battle someone. I tweeted out who's the Broncos fan, and the amount of people that have been dying for Brandon and I to do some content together, it was overwhelming. I told the team, I'm like, I don't even want to hear it. I don't care if we have Elway, Manning. This is the guy this week.
Bump them.
Mm-hmm. That's what happened.
Bump them. Yeah, I was surprised that morning because I saw you followed me. I was like, what's going on? And then like an hour later, I saw a bunch of people adding me. I was like, oh, it's for a Broncos Jets thing. This is awesome. So yeah, I do NFL and Broncos coverage on YouTube. I've turned it into all I do. So kind of like you, Gary, I bite off more than I can chew and just try to get through like every day.
Good for you.
Doing breakdowns, the news, predictions. We're working on the Jets prediction today.
Good.
And to lift you up, to bring your energy up a little bit, was surprised that the Jets defense actually looked pretty good against the Patriots.
The Jets defense has been, we're winning John Franklin Myers, Quinnen Williams, Rask. Our defensive line is doing real work. And then we have, CJ Mosley and Marcus May on the next two tiers doing work. Like we're winning the battles in the trenches. How is your offensive line?
I thought it was going to be better than it has been. So
that's our prayer.
Yeah, we've had injuries. Well, Graham Glasgow didn't play last week. He had like a weird heart thing. We're not sure if he's playing this week. But they've been struggling to run the ball effectively, which I don't love. And Teddy was under pressure quite a bit last week, but he was also great against the blitz. So I don't know what that means. He's perfect against the blitz.
We don't blitz. So that's going to be interesting. We think we can just line up with our 4 and win. So remind me, you played the garbage Giants, who I hate with my whole soul. And then last week, is it Jacksonville?
Yeah.
And was that in Jacksonville or was that home?
Yeah, it was in very humid, wet
All right,
Jacksonville.
so kudos to you guys. Big shout out to Glenn Curtis, one of my best friends from college, huge Broncos fan. I'm going to make sure he watches this. So you are pretty pumped, right? Listen, the NFL is hard to win on the road, even if you're playing the Giants and the Jaguars. So for you to have so now I got the press again. So we're coming into your home opener and you're 2-0.
Yeah. And the Broncos are 10-point favorites over the Jets.
Well, that doesn't fucking faze me. I'm not
minus 590 on the money line, Gary.
I like that a little bit, actually. Listen, I get optimistic for a second every day, but listen, we've got a lot of problems, unfortunately. But I do like the offensive line not being great. I think we can all agree that the Giants and Jags are probably bottom 5, bottom 10 NFL teams. Oh, by the way, here's a third one. Schedule makers really hooked up the Broncos. But that is our strength, our defensive line. And if the offensive line has not been as great, I feel good against the run. You've got some great young receivers that I'm a fan of. So obviously there's something there. Now help me here. I assume that, Lawrence, by the way, the great winner of Zach Wilson's troubles has been Trevor Lawrence, who's been absolutely garbage too.
Yeah.
So I assume there was some turnovers there from the Jags last week that probably helped you guys, right?
Yeah, he threw 2 picks, one to Patrick Surtain, the rookie we took. And That's looking like an amazing pick, even though a lot of Broncos fans wanted Justin Fields at the time, but Teddy's playing so well. I'm so happy to be like on the Teddy Bridgewater bandwagon. And one to Kareem Jackson. And I saw a stat that said like Trevor Lawrence has thrown like the highest percentage of uncatchable balls. So yeah, he has not played well, but Zach Wilson picked a good week to throw 4 picks, and nobody's really talking about, Trevor Lawrence's poor performance.
I agree. I mean, are you guys good offensively? I think that's the question I would ask. Are you feeling good?
They're very efficient. I think it feels like the running game is right there and it's ready to break out. Like
it's not going to break out this week. I'm telling you right now, like we're going to dominate the trenches. I'm incredibly confident about the Jets. I think the Jets have legitimately one of the best defensive lines in football. Listen, the Jets have been good defensively, especially now. And I know we have the Saints coming up next. The Saints walked into a buzzsaw last week in Carolina, and I don't know, we're actually filming this on Thursday. The game hasn't started yet. I'm very curious to see what Carolina looks like tonight. The Jets did a great job defensively and have been good. Saleh comes in with that reputation. The secondary has been better than people have thought. And the defensive line, they lost 2 of their starting linebackers, Carl Lawson for the year, but then they picked up another Lawson. We just slapped a different number and kept the same last name. Shaq Lawson was dominant against the run in advanced metrics, as I saw. So I don't, the problem is we're a young team and Denver's a very strong fan base. That's a really tough place to play. And they're a 2-0 home opening situation. That's fucking phenomenal for the Broncos and very dangerous for the Jets.
And to Brandon's point about efficiency, Teddy Bridgewater has been completing 77% of his passes on 8.5 yards per attempt, no turnovers.
That's really good.
Here's the thing. People think check down Teddy. It's what I thought.
That's what I think.
Season. I think he's thrown the most 20+ yard passing attempts this season too. So he's throwing the ball downfield, and he had a dropped 50-yard touchdown week 1. And last week would have had a 50-yard touchdown to Cortland Sutton if the refs knew how to call pass interference on the defense. They called it on the Broncos defense all day.
Well, good news that those calls are going to go in your favor. The Jets are actually playing well above their head because of the pass rush, which you can't count on consistently. And, Robbie Anderson torched them. The Pats, Mac doesn't throw the ball over 20 yards. So he's not allowed to.
He's not allowed to, yeah.
And so, I think that there's going to be room for that. And I do think the Jets will find themselves with a couple of deep passing penalties. Jess?
Okay, so I was going to say Teddy Bridgewater's passing yards, his prop is 245.5. So do we see him going over that?
What was his 2 numbers in the first 2 games?
Let me get them.
He went over 300 last week.
Yeah, that was his against Jacksonville. He went over 300. That was his first time eclipsing that mark.
And it was like 270.
Ever? 264. 264 in the first game, 328 in the second game. So
I'm a little worried about the pass interference because listen, Cortland and Judy, they've got weapons. How's the tight end been? How's Fant been?
Fant's been solid. And the guy behind him, Albert Okwuegbunam.
Yeah. I know him.
He's also like when he's involved, like they have 2 very good tight ends. So the thing is,
I think that's going to work.
Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, and Noah Fant showed up on the injury report yesterday. I haven't followed up. If they're limited, I'm sure it's fine. But anytime you see that, you're like as a Broncos fan, because the first 2 games were so easy, and this one, everyone's saying like it's going to be easy. I'm starting to get superstitious, and I'm looking at like, okay, this could cost him. This could cost him. Like, I'm trying to not get ahead of myself with this.
How's Vaughn been the first 2 games?
He's good. He's back.
He's going to be a problem for us. I'm very worried about that.
Yeah, he is fast and like he's just so smart too. It's not just rushing the passer. He knows how to play.
He's also buying good NFTs. He's actually macro smart, not only NFL smart.
Yeah, I got it. He's got it.
Jess, do we have props?
Yeah, we do have props. We got props here. We got some rushing yards prop. I know you said you thought the Broncos were going to have maybe not the best time there. We have Melvin Gordon, 50.5 rushing yards.
Well, that's not a lot of yards.
Okay.
Yeah. I like the Javonte Williams. So
I
his
like him.
over is 54, and that's the rookie they took. And all
I
he
like
does
him. I know
is
him well.
break tackles and stiff arm dudes. I think he gets over 54.
Okay.
Okay.
They used him more last week.
What's
so I kind of like
what's
that.
Cortland Sutton's yards?
Oh, where's his?
I don't think we have a prop.
Okay.
No
What
Sutton.
about on the Jets offense? Or what we got any props?
Oh, we do. We have Jets props for you. We got Jets props. Michael Carter, 28.5.
I love that. How's your run D?
Oh, that's our strength right now. Well,
Okay.
the secondary's been great, but the Broncos have been really hard to run against.
Okay.
You got Michael Carter on offense and defense, right?
Yes, we have two Michael Carters. We just
Yeah, I
had
love
to go
that.
there. Go ahead. I do like that though. That's not total yards? That's rushing yards, right?
rushing yards? Rushing yards.
He's going to catch the balls. Okay.
And we have receiving yards
Go
for
ahead.
Corey Davis, 44.5.
I don't like that.
We have Elijah Moore, 37.5.
I like that better, believe it or not.
Okay.
And
Tyler Croft, we got your tight end, 18.5.
what about Michael Carter?
Michael Carter, 8.5 receiving.
That I would 100,000%. So I think the Jets, Salah kind of showed his card a little bit and in the press conference talked about boring is good. The kid just threw 4 picks. Tyler Croft and Michael Carter. Is Crowder on it? Because he's probably coming back this week. Is he a prop or because he was hurt? You don't have it.
We don't have any props for him. No.
Yeah. So I think that's the reason I said I don't love Corey Davis. Elijah Moore, the reason I always say I like it a little more is when you have that level of game-breaking speed, it's one slant pass and it's a 42-yard play and you're in the money. But I think what did you say, 8?
Michael Carter is 8.5.
I'm going to make
Receiving
that my
yards?
super pump up thing, whatever you guys call it. That
The
is
boost?
it. I want to boost Michael Carter receiving over 8.5.
Okay. All right.
I think you're going to see him dump off more. I think they're going to go for safer plays. And I think not only do I think Michael Carter over 8.5 for the boost, I'm going to predict Michael Carter over 8.5 happens in the first quarter.
Ooh.
I think that's smart because the Broncos lost their linebacker, Josie Jewell, last week, who was playing great in coverage. So they're going to be trying to figure out that second linebacker spot in this game. So that's kind of primed for a running back to get, some decent receiving yards.
And he's hit over 8.5 in both games so far.
Interesting. And he built some confidence last week. He ran the ball well. And he
Okay, so
breaks tackles.
Brandon, what's your favorite bet in this one? And then what's your prediction for this game? Like 10-point spread. Do you like the Broncos to cover that?
In my heart, I do. I think they cover the spread. I'm a little worried this game is going to be closer than I want it to be. Again, it's a superstition thing. I like the Teddy Bridgewater. Where was his touchdowns? It was, I think it was less than 2. It was like 1.5. I think
1.5. Yeah.
I like
Okay.
that too.
So Teddy is a machine.
165 to go over 1.5.
And is that passing or can he run one in?
Passing touchdowns.
Okay.
Yeah. Teddy always throws 2 touchdowns.
Oh, that's
Teddy 2
what is he,
touchdowns, Teddy 2
that's it?
tugs. It's in his name. Like it's going to happen. He could throw for 500 yards and it would be just 2 touchdowns. He could throw for 50 yards. It's going to be 2 touchdowns. So I like the over on his touchdowns.
Okay. I like it.
What's the score?
like
and
it.
Brandon, 2 things. How'd you become a Broncos fan?
Well, I was born into that. I had no choice.
And how old are you?
36.
So how old were you? So you were perfect for the Elway stuff, right? You were like an 8-year-old
yeah.
kid or something like that?
Oh yeah. I idolized that way.
Yeah.
It's like this little mug back here. Like I painted when I was 7 and it's just got a number 7 on the back of it.
I was at the Broncos Carolina Super Bowl in San Francisco.
Oh, I was sort of there.
In spirit?
I was supposed to get into the game with like a press pass. It was like the first time I was helping like a local media guy shoot video. And he was like, don't worry, I'll get you a pass. We got to the game. I saw like tanks as security. I'm like, I'm not getting in there. He's like, yeah, I can't get you in. So I just sprinted like 20 minutes to a Bennigan's. I paid like $130 to watch the game in a Bennigan's parking lot alone after I'd spent the whole season covering like every game. It was both like,
awesome and yeah, of course. Yeah.
It was a little sad.
And what about your score for this game? I want an official score.
I think I picked 23-10 Broncos. Just the Jets haven't scored a lot, and the Broncos haven't given up a lot of points, but they also haven't scored a lot of points. Yeah. So I like the under for total score.
Yeah, the total's sitting at 42, so you like way under.
Yeah, it just feels like it'll be like the last 2 weeks.
I'm gonna go 27-7 Broncos.
Ooh.
Yep.
Like it.
I think it's too much to ask I think that on the road, I think they may give up I think where I'm going with, I actually don't think it'll be as bad as that sounds, but I think the corners are strong. I think Zach still needs a few more minutes to calibrate. I kind of have this bad feeling of you know what it is? I just realized the Broncos is a tough place to play. That place gets rocking. And I can just see us like Carolina. Those fans suck. Those fans aren't getting going. Like they don't scare me. They don't scare the opposing team, but the Bronco fans get going. Oh, yeah. I can see it getting, I can see us giving up a turnover touchdown.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go 27-7. Michael Carter super boost over 8.5.
The Broncos have covered the spread in 5 of their last 6 home openers. So you're right about that advantage.
I think they're going to cover, but I'd be thrilled for a stunner.
All right. Well, Brandon, thank you so much, man. You were amazing.
No,
you know your shit. Thanks, Brandon.
Appreciate it.
You give me a little optimism.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to say something nice to Jesse? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think I see you on my TV more than like Michael Scott, and we watch The Office a lot.
Yeah, I'm entering flow territory from Progressive. I'm just
for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna haunt your dreams and stuff from now on.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for having me. This was awesome. And
good luck this week, brother.
Yeah, appreciate it. You too.
Thank you, man.
All right, we are now moving on to our next game of the week, Saints at Patriots, and we have 2 real diehard fans. DeBoom here from the Saints.
Who dat?
Oh yeah, and then we have the Silver Bullet from the Patriots. And look at these outfits; they have both dressed up for us. We are so lucky right now.
Let's get some intros and give us 30 seconds on your origin story, man, on how you became a fan. DeBoom?
Well, born and raised in Louisiana, and spent the time on Sundays with my grandfather watching the games. That was his passion, and it just trickled on down. And I've been a diehard ever since.
Good for you. Bullet?
I'm born in New England, actually, in Rhode Island, literally 20 minutes away from Gillette Stadium. And in my family, you love everything Boston. And of course, that includes the Patriots.
Of course. Well,
okay,
it's a pleasure to have you both.
Yeah. DeBoom, I have a question for you. You guys haven't played a home game yet this season. And by the way, guys, this is how you see these guys on TV. I'm sure you've seen them during the games on TV in these outfits. So it's kind of like meeting real life superheroes, which is pretty 100%. Cool. So DeBoom, you guys haven't played a home game yet this season. First game versus Packers in Jacksonville because of Hurricane Ida. So hopefully the NOLA community is rebounding, but like, how ready are you to get back into the Superdome next week?
We're ready. We've been ready. All of last year we couldn't go. We only had, a handful of fans that could go to the games, and everybody's itching for it. The great thing about the Saints in New Orleans is it brings us together, and it's a party, and we can't wait.
Oh yeah, I've heard it can be a real party. And Silver Bullet, I want to know what for you, before you get into the stadium and looking at amazing the way that you do, what's a Patriots tailgate like for you? And what's your game day ritual routine? Is your face painted when you're tailgating?
No, I meet up actually at a meeting spot with my tailgate crew. There's around 60 of us. And then we convoy up to the stadium together, and we just park one after the other. And we're usually set up within like 10 minutes. And we have 3 grills going and music blaring, and it gets all started. And I love to meet fans and take pictures and let them try on, my rings and stuff. But that those couple of hours before the game starts, it's the camaraderie. I mean, it's my tailgate family, you know, that I've been with for over a decade. And, you know, we love each other like real family because we've been there through, you know, trials and tribulations throughout our life.
What trials and tribulations are we talking? Get out of here, Bullet.
Non-Patriots stuff.
Oh, I see. Real life. I respect that.
Like I lost both my mother and my father.
Yeah, of course.
Now Gary feels bad.
No, once he contextual, of course, I'm devastated to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that, Bullet. No, but like in the fandom context, it's been Nirvana for 2 decades.
It has, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, well, yeah. So now prior to that, and mind you, my first game, I was 6 years old.
Yeah, so by the way, before you jump into it, because obviously a lot of people watch this where they, you know, from my fan base and things of that nature, I've been pretty consistent about this. If you can be over 40 and be a Patriots fan, I have a totally different relationship with that person. Because I remember 6-3 Jet Patriot 1-15 seasons. I remember the Pats going through all those tough times.
So my uncles had tickets for 30 years. So what I can honestly say is I went to the season that the Patriots went 1-15. And just to let you know, that win wasn't at home. It was in Indy. So picture it, every single game, every preseason and regular season game, it was a loss. I mean, some of them were like a slaughter.
Oh, really? Picture it? Yes, I'm very aware of it. I've lived for 40 years under this context.
Okay. So, and I can honestly say, I know I'm probably one of the most fortunate fans, super fans of any team, because I've actually been, you know, to 4 Super Bowls that my team actually won. And it's just, it never got dull and never got old. But the thing is, we were humble because, like you said, those of us that were older than a certain age, the 40, you knew what it was like to suck. You know, you knew you knew the good and the bad, you know, and if you stuck with the Patriots throughout the whole thing, then you know what, you deserve to be there for the good. I
don't know if anybody deserved the amount of winning that you guys have had over the last 20 years. I'm a little bit more happy for the Boom. That Super Bowl was incredibly, that onside kick is still one of the most interesting moments in sports for me in 40 years as a diehard of many sports and just following it religiously across the board. That is a signature play that I think about of like turning the true fortunes of a franchise.
That was absolutely amazing. And I tell you what, at the time of the Super Bowl, I lived in Wisconsin, and I was trying to decide, you know, I couldn't go to the game. So I was trying to decide, do I go to Miami and watch the game or do I go to New Orleans? I said, you know what, we got to go to New Orleans. So we go to the dive bar in New Orleans and win that game, and everybody's flooding the streets. And, you know, it was amazing. But for me, you know, the best game was the game right before it, the NFC Championship, because it was the idea of finally going. And the way that game was back and forth, and Adrian Peterson fumbling the ball like 8 times in that game, and it comes down to that field goal in overtime. I mean, tears flowing, man. I mean, it was just amazing.
Fun fact about that was you guys won that game, and those were good Jet seasons during that time. I mean, that was just like a really fun era of football for me. But let's get into this week's game, because I think this is a very intriguing matchup.
Yeah. So Saints obviously 1-1, Patriots 1-1, right? Patriots are 3-point favorites at home against the Saints. Pats minus 160 on the money line, Saints plus 40 on the money line. The total is set at 42.5.
Can I ask the Boom? You know, obviously I have a very good read on what I saw from the Patriots last week, watching carefully on every play. What happened last week off the crazy, obviously you lived in Wisconsin, so you must have had a ton of fun the week earlier making fun of old friends from Wisconsin, because that was a slaughter session. What happened last week? Because obviously we played the Panthers, so I have a good read. I have a good feel of what I saw from them. What happened?
You know, we played terrible, and you hate to make excuses, but, you know, I think a lot of it had to do with the coaches being out. I mean, we had 8 coaches out because of COVID.
I forgot.
And, you know, and then we had 10 players out as well. So, you know, there's always that debate.
Okay.
You know?
I completely forgot. That's right. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Are they all back?
I think 4 are back, they're saying right now.
4 coaches or 4 of the 10 players?
4 of the coaches, 1 of the players.
You're going to have that many people still out this week.
Yeah.
That's too bad. That's too bad. All right. Well, fair enough. I mean, Bullet, what did you see in, you're pretty accustomed to beating up on my Jets these days, but what did you see specifically this last week?
Well, if you had watched the game before with, versus Miami, I think we had more cohesion, not only in our defense, but our offense. And like you said, Mac's not allowed to throw a ball, more than 20 yards. And I think that's because right now he still has his training wheels. And everybody wants to make sure that he's okay and he's safe. And they don't want him in the pocket too long so that he can get hurt. Because, obviously being a rookie
he doesn't seem incredibly mobile. When he was moving around, I was like, okay, that's clunky.
Yeah. It was definitely Brady-esque, but the fact is, I think once they all start, to get a little more connected, and don't forget, we started the season as Cam being the starter. So he got more reps than anyone else until his COVID, incident. But the simple fact is they were all fighting. Okay, who's going to be on? Obviously, we ended up keeping Hoyer, which thank God, because he's a really phenomenal mentor and a phenomenal athlete, especially in meeting players. But I think that now Matt's just playing catch up because we know he's number one, and the focus is on him. And Matt Hoyer's there just to make sure that, okay, he's towing the line and he's going to, understand some of the things that he probably wouldn't have had, back in collegiate. So I think that's the way I feel. And the same thing with the defense. Don't forget, we didn't have Hightower last year. Most people don't realize this, that the Patriots had times 3 more than any other team for COVID opt-outs. And I get some of them, you know what I mean? Like, a player whose daughter had sickle cell anemia,
of course.
Another one had pneumonia and
diabetic. And you don't have Gilmore for the first 6 games this year, right?
Exactly. But the good thing is, and we're of the mindset to step up, next man up, and JC Jackson jumps right up, and Jonathan Jones, and again, 2 phenomenal players that are, great to have, but also that know, when to put in the best they can, and they did.
So Silver Bullet, are they going to let Mac throw the ball down the field? 241.5 is his passing yards total for this one.
Okay, so I say yes, because number one, again, now he's had another week of practice to get cohesive with his wide receivers, tight ends, and feel more comfortable. And I think that's where this is what I honestly think. When you're little and you drive around in a bicycle with 2 training wheels, and then all of a sudden your dad says, okay, let's take one off. And I think this is the game that one training wheel has come off, and they're going to kind of let him call some of the plays. And if he decides, he's going to go downfield 30 yards, then guess what? It's going to happen. And then that's going to be the magic that he needs to get that last training wheel off.
Who are you excited about that he's going to throw the ball to? Because it's not the most explosive wide receiving crew of all time either, right?
Okay,
which could be part of the equation, right?
It is. So do you want to be pleasantly surprised? Who is like our biggest surprise wide receiver? Well, almost, that would be amazing, because he didn't start as a wide receiver. He was actually a quarterback in college.
Well, I'm never pleasantly surprised about anything the Patriots do.
All right. So Bill turns in, people into things that they weren't before. And I think that my guess, I love Gunnar. Okay. He's phenomenal. Yep. And I think he might have a breakout year simply because guess what? He can be, in the slot, he, can go deep, and he's real tricky. And
Daboom, what about, I'm sorry to interrupt, but Daboom, what about your defensive line and pressure? Because I thought one of the things that one of the only things the Jets did well was get constant pressure, beat, they had, obviously the Brown was hurt for the Patriots. So I don't know if he's coming back. Is he back, Bullet? Trent Brown, is he back this week?
I think he's day by day. His X-rays showed fine. He could and the same thing with Kyle Vanoy. Yeah, he was in practice. So of course, those are 2, really
major
strong
players. Do you guys have a good pass rush, Daboom?
Yeah, we're set with that. Marcus Davenport, one of our better defensive end, is out, unfortunately. But this new rookie we got, Peyton Turner, he got a sack last week. Looked like he really stepped up and ready to go. Of course, Cam Jordan.
Yep, of course.
And with Dennis Allen, he likes to blitz. And, especially on these rookie quarterbacks, he'll sneak in a safety, C.J. Gardner Jr. coming in. Yep. And some of these linebackers, Demario Davis has been lighting it up.
Former Jet.
Yeah, exactly.
2-time former Jet, Jess.
I was going to ask Daboom, where's the offense going to come from for the Saints? Do you think Alvin Kamara is going to have a good game?
It's got to be Alvin Kamara. I mean, it's got to be your best player. It's got to be Alvin Kamara's show. I mean,
What happened last week with him?
Our offensive line was terrible. It was. There was so much miscommunication. We had a center out. We had a new center in. The communication was off.
And by the way, the Panthers defensive line, I mean, I mean, he's a beast.
Yeah.
They're tough. That's a tough defensive line.
Yeah.
I would say above, I mean, the Jets struggled dramatically more with the Panthers than they did the Patriots.
Right. And our receiving core with Michael Thomas out, we don't have a lot. I mean, really, we have Callaway, I think, for the season, he's got like 3 receptions for 22 yards, and the rest of the team, maybe 5 receptions for like 68.
Yeah, so Juwan Johnson, the converted receiver to tight end, have a big first week. Might be fun to see him pop off again this week.
Yeah.
He's got 18 and a half receiving yards for his prop.
How many?
Juwan Johnson, 18 and a half receiving yards.
Do you have what he did last week?
Oh, I would take that.
You want to take that?
I'm a little bit, I'll be honest with you. I thought the Patriots secondary is really, really good, especially without Gilmore. That's a really troubling situation for someone who doesn't want the Patriots to be good. When Gilmore comes back, and JC, I agree with Bullet, a guy that a lot of the pro scouts didn't love and said he wouldn't be strong in this league. He's been fantastic.
Gary, per your question too, Juwan Johnson last week, he had 1 reception for 23 receiving yards.
What's the spread? Oh, 3. Wait,
Yeah.
So the Pats are 3-point favorites?
Yeah.
This could be an interesting game. What's the over-under?
42 and a half.
I like the under. I really do. My problem is I'm a little undereducated on how many people are missing from the Saints. DeBoom did not make me confident here that it sounds like a lot of the guys are still going to be out. And if they got Batman handled in Carolina, New England's a tough place to play, to begin with. And, I think they've got a system in place on offense. Wasn't like the Pats so overwhelmed me, but I think what they did to the Jets, they could replicate here against the Saints and cause, bad situations that create a bigger blowout than maybe even what the talent on the field shows.
But, I think Sean Payton is an offensive genius. I mean, he is. And the funny thing that we love about Sean Payton is he's great, but he's petty. And, he's our Sean Payton, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we love it. And he is not going to go into this game and allow this to happen again. The offensive line is going to be solid. I can guarantee you that. And
why?
Kamara.
Hold on. I'm just curious.
I mean, probably one of the best offensive lines in the league. I mean, Ryan Ramczyk on one end.
But are they bad?
Yeah.
So
yes, they're there. They're there.
It.
The only thing we're missing is the center. What I'm curious to see is what's the props on Kamara for receiving, because I am betting that with the screen pass, I mean, and the lack of receivers we have, if
I
they're
agree.
going to throw the ball, they're going to have to throw it to Kamara.
It's 32 and a half.
32 and a half. 2 screen plays. Kamara's got it. I'll take that all day.
What's James White? I was so on James White. I crushed that last week. I had
Also
him everywhere and everywhere. I would take James White so much. So I'm much more confident with James White over 32 and a half than Kamara over 32 and a half. And that pains me. I mean, look, I want the Saints to win 79-0. Let there be no confusion of what I want to happen. But we're here to actually talk it through properly. I think White is an incredible catching back. He was extremely effective against the Jets. They run such creative plays. I'm a very seasoned fan and watch a lot of football for the last 40 years. And, they had this one curl play with this last week that I was super impressed with. They're very creative over in New England, which devastates me. And I think it's going to be a tough sled for the Saints, unfortunately. Boy, would I love them to win. But for me, I'll go first to wrap up. I'm going to go 20-10 New England.
Oh, okay. What about you, Silver Bullet? What is your prediction and your favorite bet in this one?
I'm definitely going to go for the under as well, but I think it will be a tighter game than people would have expected, and I'd guess somewhere like 21 to 9. I think we want to keep them to field goals, so it'll be 3 field goals. Mark my word.
Okay.
But let me just add. In our past 4 meetings here in Gillette, and that doesn't include time with, of course, it does include time with Tom and Bill, but this is pre. the last 4 times, we've won 3 out of 4. And out of all the times we've ever met up with them, we're 10-4. So I kind of like my odds versus the Saints.
What about you, DeBoom? What is your prediction? Do you like
Come on, DeBoom.
Well, I mean, of course, I'm going to pick the Saints. And look, we 6 out of our last road games, we've won. We're road warriors. Now, if you count Jacksonville, that's 7, right? That's supposed to be a home game, but it was away. So, I mean, 7 of the last 9 games on the road, we have won those games. And our team gets hyped and ready to go for that. I'm still taking the under. It's going to be closer, but I'm thinking Saints win 24-17.
What's the over-under?
42.5.
Wow, this crew really likes the under. Just you're a Pats fan. Let's throw it to you. What do you think the scores this game's going to be?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry to boom, but Jameis and your offense just looked so lost against the Panthers. I don't think that's going to get easier against that New England defense after seeing them have a field day against Zach Wilson. Oh God, what do I 27-17 Pats win.
I will say this, 27-17. I will say this. The Pats, we were noticeably effective on the ground against the Patriots. And I just, if the center situation is atrocious, again, I'm a little undereducated here, but Kamara, like we were noticeably effective. And I'm excited about Michael Carter, but I don't want to get too crazy here. And obviously, listen, I don't think the Dolphins are a good football team. And they were able to go into New England week 1 and win. I don't think the Jets in their current state needs to be the barometer. I don't think it's inconceivable that the Saints come in there and win. I mean, you know how fan bases are, right? Like, it's very hard. You get so caught off guard by the last thing you saw. I mean, if this was a week 2 game, the Saints just beat the Packers 1-3, and the Pats lost at home to a Dolphins team with I think, just by the way, just to razz the Dolphins is something Bullen and I will agree on. We'll both enjoy this. They are going to regret that Tua over Justin pick for a long time down there. They're going to regret it. And, so it's going to be, I mean, this is the Kamara. How much is Kamara's rushing yards?
His rushing yards is 58.5. His receiving yards is 32.5.
And what did he rush for last week? Do you have that?
No, but I can get it.
Okay.
I think it was like
5 yards.
My God.
5 yards.
Why? Because they got behind early and often. They had to throw.
They were trailing all but for 3 minutes of that game.
I'm excited to watch this game. It's a 1:00 game.
Yes.
It's actually gonna be the game I'm gonna most be excited to watch. I'd love to see the Saints pull this off, but I gave my official prediction, unfortunately, in the other direction. All right. Well, these are real fans. I mean, this is fun listening to these two break it down.
Yeah, this was awesome, guys. And now when we see you on TV, we're going to be like, we know them.
Let me ask you, as a real fan, but who's been around, what did you feel like? This actually, hopefully one day this can happen for me. Chiefs fans are going through it right now. You guys were the doldrums, right? Fox, it was just like, and all of a sudden everyone's a Patriots fan. Did you end up liking that, or did you dislike that?
No, and honestly, I was looking forward to us at some point, not being phenomenal, and to see how many people were actually going to jump off.
Well, let me save you time. A lot, because there was
They
Bulls.
did.
There was Bulls jersey. What do you mean they did? We're talking about one year?
No. People already became Tampa fans. They were like, bye-bye.
Oh,
and
I
like,
see.
And they were friends of mine. They were. I'm going to tell
Wait,
you
they're
that.
Tampa fans?
They're
Because
now
Brady.
That's a joke.
They are now Tampa
Family.
fans. 2 of my friends bought season tickets to Tampa dirt cheap because they were cheap when we went there. And they're all like, oh, this is great, and I'm like, what? One of my friends actually has a split jersey for Brady.
Oh, no.
I'm like, get the heck away from me, because I don't know you anymore.
Yeah.
Good for you. All right. Well, listen, thank you, man. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Great to meet you.
Jess, let's take it home.
Yeah.
So what do you got? The Listeners League. We got my super bet, Michael Carter 8.5.
Yeah.
What else?
So we're gonna boost your, and to remind everybody, odds and lines are subject to change.
Good work.
But right now, Michael Carter, we're going to boost that. It's set at 8.5. So that is what Gary has decided he wants to boost. So keep an eye on his Twitter account, on the DK socials. we have our listener DFS contest. Play for $1,000 in prizes and a shot to take home a Peyton Manning autographed card from Gary's personal collection. Again, check the link in the DK Twitter, Gary Twitter. It's going to be awesome. Gary, I feel like your prediction for the Jets game, you were trying to hurt yourself. So before
I'm just mad. I'm just mad right now. I'm mad. I'm mad. I don't know what to say. I'm just mad.
But you're so great.
Well, listen, I want to thank everybody for listening. Looking forward to being in the DFS with you. I'm telling you, the Michael Carter thing's going to work, barring injury. I'm feeling confident. I like that boost. More confident than last week's debacle with Mac. We lost, and I was wrong about my boost. I don't want to do that right now. I'm 1-1, so I'd like to go over there. And I appreciate you partnering up with me again this week, and I'm looking forward to week 4.